I recently swapped out my Milestar Patagonia MTs for a new set of tires, and I actually tried a couple of different sets of tires, an all-terrain and a mud-terrain, before landing on this combo here, and went with some new wheels as well. So pretty happy with the combination I ended up with. But as I was going through this process again of buying tires, I felt like I relearned some lessons that I thought I had learned the first time. So I wanted to just turn the camera on and share with you guys a few things that I think will be helpful for you when it comes to getting a new set of off-road tires. Well, hey everybody, welcome to 4x-Trail. I'm Caleb, and before we start, I just want to say thanks to all of you who have been subscribing and sharing these videos, liking these videos. It's super cool. This is just a hobby for me, but it's something that I'm passionate about. And if you are too, if you enjoy off-roading and overlanding and camping and Jeeps and other types of off-road vehicles, make sure to subscribe. It's free for you and it really supports the channel. It helps these videos get out and reach more people. I'm looking forward to a lot more great adventures together, so thanks in advance for subscribing. All right, let's get to today's video. Well, I ultimately landed with the Yokohama Geolander MT G003 tire. It's a long name for a tire, but those are the tires I'm running now. I love them so far, and I paired them with the Rocktrix RT111 wheel. I went with different wheels in hopes that I could ditch my TerraFlex wheel adapters that I've been running for the last year and a half. More on these wheels and on adapters in some future videos. I'll be talking about the pros and cons of adapters because people love to hate on those. I'm glad to have them off the Jeep, but there are some pros to them, and so gonna share that in another video. But today we're talking tires, and I've been thinking over the last 3 years that I've owned the Jeep, I've actually run 6 different sets of tires, which is a little crazy because I've only put 50,000 miles on the Jeep in those 3 years. So I've gone through a lot of different sizes, 33s, 35s, a couple of sets of 37s now, different types of tire, a hybrid like the Ridge Grappler, an all-terrain like the KO2. I've run a couple different sets of mud tires, some Mickey Thompsons, the Milestars. So in all of those different sets, I've bought and sold them because I was swapping them out and upgrading or whatever. So at the end of the video, I want to share some tips on how to buy and sell tires and get the best deal. So stick around for that. So the last set of tires I had on the Jeep were the Milestar Patagonias in 37 by 12.5, 17. That's the same size that I'm sticking with these Yokohamas. And the wheel that I'm running them on is a 17 by 9 wheel. I like the combination of a 17-inch wheel with a 37-inch tire. For me, that setup has been great for my build, for the type of trails that I like to run on the Jeep. I am front axle limited on my build currently, and those of you who have been following the channel probably know that I'm still running the Dana 30 front axle. It is trussed and gusseted. And you know, people love to hate on the Dana 30, and I just kind of smile because it's actually been a great axle for me. It's never held me back from any of the trails that I wanted to do. I've done a lot of hardcore stuff with this axle, and it's been great. Now I know that it's my weak link, and I know it's just a matter of time, and it's going to be causing me some issues. So I do need to swap it out, but so far, hey, the Dana 30 is not a bad axle, guys. And what you have to do is you just have to be mindful when you're off-road and not go crazy, right? For more information on what I've done to my build to run 37s in a safe way, in a way that's sustainable, that you're not going to be breaking stuff all the time, check out the video I did called What You Actually Need to Do to Your Jeep to Run 37s. I'll leave a link below. So when it comes to buying tires, there's 2 things that I'm looking at. I'm looking at what is the actual weight of the tire and what is the real world height of the tire, which I've learned many times again and again that that is not the same as the number that's on the side of the tire. It can say 35, it can say 33 or 37. That does not mean it's actually going to be that tall, especially once it's on the vehicle. Not all 37s are created equal, not all 35s are created equal, etc. So height is a big deal, and then weight. You know, unsprung weight is to me it's a big deal. Partly because of my front axle. I don't want to put just a big old heavy tire on there unnecessarily. But for a lot of different reasons, keeping unsprung weight low on your vehicle is a good thing. And so many mud tires, you know, they end up being 8, 10 ply, and they're just heavy. So keeping an eye on the ply rating and the actual weight of the tire is also important. So those are the two things we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to grab my phone because there's a lot of numbers and figures here that I want to get straight. So the mile stars that I just took off my Jeep, again, 37 by 12.5 R17s. Those are the size. That's the size I'm going to be referencing for all the different tires that I'm about to say. 37, 12.5, 17. The mile stars were 72 pounds, which for a mud tire is really good. In fact, it might be one of the lightest mud tires out there. Compare that to the Nitto Trail Grappler, which is a great tire. But if you're looking at just that figure of weight, the same exact ply rating, same load rating tire, same size, same everything, the weight is not the same. 84 pounds for the Trail Grappler versus 72 for the Milestar. So 12-pound difference. That's quite a bit when you multiply that by 4, and that's the weight that you've got out on the ends of your axles. It's a big deal. So the Milestar's 72 pounds, the Trail Grappler's 84 pounds. These Yokohamas that I'm running are 76 pounds, so kind of right in the middle, a little bit on the lighter end of that range, but you know, not too bad. I think anything under 80 pounds is good in my book for a 37-inch tire. The KO2s of the exact same load rating, ply rating, all of that, they come in at 71 pounds, so 1 pound lighter than the Milestars, but the KO2s are an all-terrain. So not going to have as aggressive of a tread pattern on the KO2s. But I thought that was interesting. So that's the weight differentiation. Let's look at height, okay? So the height of all of those, I didn't try the Trail Grapplers, but the rating for the height of all those is the same. They're rated at 36.85 inches, which isn't exactly accurate, but that's what the dimensions will say when you look up the specs on those three tires: the Trail Grapplers, the Milestars, and the Yokohamas, and the KO2s. They all have that same height when it says it, but on the vehicle or in real life, it's not the same. Now, I didn't try the Trail Grapplers, like I said, but the Milestars were 36.25 inches under the vehicle weight once the Milestars were on my Jeep. 36.25 inches tall, not 36.85 inches like they were rated for. The Yokohamas, they came in at 36 inches, just right under 36 inches on the vehicle. Again, that's under the weight of the vehicle. Okay, so what tire did I try before these Yokohamas? I tried the new KO2 that's coming out on the Ford Raptor 37. Some of you have probably heard about the Raptor 37 that's coming out. BFG made a specific version of the KO2 for that Raptor that is a 37, 12.5, 17 tire, but it's a slightly different spec than the standard KO2 37-inch tire that many of you have probably run. This one is a little bit lighter. It's 65 pounds, which when I heard that, I was like, that's worth it to me to go from a mud terrain to an all-terrain. Yeah, I might lose a little bit of off-road ability, but it's only 65 pounds for a 37-inch tire. That's crazy. Well, it is a load range C tire. The Raptor 37 KO2 is a load range C, so it's a bit lighter of a tire because of that. And what it ended up causing me in real world height was a little disappointing. So off the vehicle, they measured 36 inches, just right under 36 inches. And then on the vehicle, under the weight of the vehicle, they dropped to 35.25 inches. So again, I was super pumped. A 65-pound, 37-inch tire. This is awesome. Put them on the vehicle, measured them, 35.25. I'm like, it's basically a 35-inch tire that I just, paid the 37-inch tire amount for. And I was disappointed. So thankfully, big shout out to Discount Tire. They returned those tires for me and got me these Yokohamas, which ended up being a much better tire for my needs. That was my experience. I can't say that's going to be the experience for everybody, but I was grateful that they took them back, because 35.25 inches is not 37 inches, and that's what I was going for, 37s. So there's some height and weight comparisons between those different tires, and again, all those tires were the same specs except for the Raptor 37 specific KO2s that I ran on my Jeep. They were load C. Okay, speaking of ply rating and load rating, it's my opinion that a lot of people out there are running too many plied tires, like too heavy, too much of a load rating for what you really need. unless you're doing heavy duty towing, like towing a Bobcat or something with a 2500 pickup, then you might want the 8-ply or 10-ply tire. For just basic off-roading, I don't see the need for it. Again, the sidewall ply you want to pay attention to. You want at least 3-ply sidewall rating to avoid puncture, on the trail, punctures on the trail with rocks and things. But your overall ply rating, I've found that 6-ply, 8-ply has been fine. I've never had a flat on the trail. That's just my opinion, but the ply rating is really connected with the weight of the tire. So it's something to keep in mind if you're trying to keep your unsprung weight low. You might not need a 10-ply tire on your vehicle depending on what you're going to be doing with your vehicle. Now what's interesting, and I talked about how I like the look of a 17-inch wheel with a 37-inch tire. For me, that gives the right amount of sidewall height and allows me to air down to a good PSI for off-roading. And I just like the look of it. What's interesting is a 17x9 wheel. It's really hard, at least in my searching, to find a wheel in that size with an aggressive of enough offset to run 37s without adapters, unless you're going to go with a beadlock wheel, which is a much heavier wheel. So you're adding unsprung weight, and that comes with a lot of cost. And some people just don't want to mess with a beadlock wheel. I don't need beadlocks. I am happy with being able to air down to 15, 14, 13, 12 PSI and be fine. I don't need to air down any more than that for my typical trails that I'm running. So I wasn't interested in a heavy, expensive beadlock wheel. And if you're not going to go for that, it's hard to find a 17x9 with an aggressive offset for 37. So the Rocktrix wheels, super happy to have found those guys, and I'm excited to test them out, see if they're any good. So stay tuned to the channel for more on the Rocktrix RT111s that I'm running. Okay, as promised, I'm going to give a few quick tips for how I purchase and sell tires. A lot of you, some of this won't be new information, but for me, I find the best deals on tires are on eBay. I have purchased most of the tires for the Jeep on eBay, and there's a lot of big warehouses out there with overstock tires. A lot of them offer free shipping and returns. I actually returned a set of 5 37-inch tires in the process of landing on these Yokohamas that bought them off eBay, returned them, got the full refund. It's crazy, but that's just the reality of large warehouses, lots of extra stock in certain tires. You do have to be mindful of the date stamp on the tire if you're going to be running the tires for a long time. I haven't had to really worry about that because I swap out tires quite a bit, but sometimes the warehouses of tires, they'll run a year or 2 or 3 old tires, and you're getting rubber that's already aged. So that is one thing to be mindful of, but otherwise, great deals on tires on eBay. When it comes to selling tires, I just use Marketplace. Craigslist works too, depending on where you're at, but Marketplace has been really good for me. There's a lot of enthusiasts, in the different areas that are looking on Marketplace. You can link to local Facebook groups of off-road groups and stuff like that, and people will buy your tires. It's crazy. Even the Milestars that I got rid of, they had about 25,000 miles on them, and they were unevenly worn, which I'll get into more in the review on those tires. But they were unevenly worn, 25,000 miles, and I still sold those. I was honest. You just got to take good pictures and be honest. Hey, this tire has a couple of plugs in it. This tire, these are showing some uneven wear. They got some vibration, whatever. Just be honest. But people will buy those tires. All right, now you've got some information that hopefully will help when it comes to purchasing your next set of tires. Don't overthink it like I tend to do. There's plenty of good options out there. You just got to be mindful of weight and of real world height. Don't forget to check out the what you need to do to your Jeep to run 37s video that I'll leave below if you're interested. And also I'll leave a link to these Yokohamas and to these Rocktrix wheels in the description below. Check those out if you're interested. That's a great way to support the channel as well. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next one.